I don't know who needs to hear this, but the codes we live by in our relationships today are shaping more than just our actions. They're defining our connections, our community, and even our legacy. So what am I saying? I'm saying basically, our relationships are trash. You know it, I know it, the statistics tell it, they're doing very poorly. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to challenge some of the deeply embedded relationship codes like bros before hoes and the myriad of other foolishness that's been said out there, and explore how these inherited beliefs might just be limiting our capacity for an authentic connection and a collective healing. If you look in this culture now, let's be very honest, men have a very poor relationship with each other. Even the fact that you have a saying called bros before hoes is an indication that there's something broken in the culture, right? There's something broken in the culture because that type of, the dynamic exists in Africa or in the global South where men do things separately than women, but there's not this competition, right? It's more of a cooperation and an acknowledgement that, there are times for men together with men and women with women, but there is not this needing to shove one down in order to uplift the other. And that's something that I find very particular inside of this culture as an African American. There was a code that you didn't show other boys or men affection. And I was confronted with this in a huge way. I took a trip to Ghana. And when I got off the plane and got on the tour bus, I immediately, before I probably noticed the first palm tree or the ocean or the myriad of people out there, I immediately picked up on the fact that men were holding each other's hands. Boys were holding each other's hands and walking down the street. It's a very common day experience to watch West African men hold hands with each other and just go on a stroll, and they're talking, and it's not anything sexualized as it would be in this culture. But it got me to thinking how divided men are, how competitive we are, and how we're not able to open up and be authentic with each other because we, in this culture, in Western culture, we hold up that's a sign of weakness, right? Or that's a sign of homosexuality. And growing up for me as a kid on the playground, you couldn't even hold your hand some type of way without it being articulated as you're being gay or you being soft or you being, right? Being confronted with that code when I visited West Africa was a break of that code for me. And the funny thing about it, I was really excited to break that code because I didn't know I would be so excited to break that code. It was not long after I moved there that I was holding hands with the people in my community, with the people in my neighborhood as a sign of I'm with you, right? Not that I'm a foreigner. It was a way to break the distance, the cultural difference that I may have had by picking up that piece of the culture and connecting with other men in that particular way. When you look at the culture now, when you look at the level of violence that exists inside of the culture now being perpetuated by men, the number one reason that they say that these men are perpetuating this violence is because they feel isolated and alone. Right? And because they feel isolated and alone, they take out that violence on those around them. Usually it's other men, but women as well, right? And so that is a instance of where the code can fail us. But if you don't shift out of that, let's take bros before hoes as an example, then where does marriage sit in that, right? Where does a relationship with your mother sit with that, right? Because some man is going to be saying that about her. Your daughters, that code does not allow for the totality and even the expansion or even the thrival of the individual who's actually saying it in the moment. And so a lot of these codes we have picked up through the culture and they exist inside of the culture, but we haven't examined them. We just like a computer code, we inherit these codes, right? And so these codes are running in the subconscious, they're running in the background, and they are having a huge impact on what we do in our relationships, right? If you have the idea of bros before hoes, then your daughter's going to get some really terrible messages. Your son's going to get some really terrible messages. I don't know what woman's going to really stick around to hear you articulate that idea. If she does stick around, then there's clearly some issues that she has as well that are going to surface in the relationship. Thank you for hanging out with us today, and here's how you can get on code with what we talked about. Today's major takeaway: relationship codes, whether they're spoken or unspoken, absolutely influence how we show up for others and ourselves. It's time for us to give some real thought to how do we re-examine and rewrite these codes in order to foster authenticity, connection, and mutual respect, the things that all of us really, truly do want in our lives. Your uncode exercise is really pretty simple. Reflect on a relationship code you've inherited, and trust me, I know you have trash codes just like I've had trash codes that we've inherited, especially around relationships. Like bros before hoes or trust no one. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, how has this belief served me? Or, more likely, how has it not served you? Then this is where you get the opportunity to recreate and rewrite your code. Use an example of I honor all connections equally with respect and care. These are the type of affirmations that, when said day by day, build a stronger, thrival mindset. So, practice this thriving code in your relationships this week and notice the difference. Let's break down barriers and build relationships that truly thrive. Thank you for tuning in and joining this important conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts and questions. Submit them to us, and we might just feature them in a future episode. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and our other social media handles to stay connected and continue the dialogue. Let's keep breaking and rebuilding codes together, family. I'll see you next time. H-Soul, and I'm out.